I'm often asked, are there some key principles to the peer review process in a medical staff setting? There are a few, and I'd like to review those. And if you don't understand some of these basic principles, you could be exposing yourself unnecessarily to legal risk. I first want to say I'm not an attorney, I'm not providing legal advice, but I'm just sharing with you some of the key things that I've learned over the years. Let's first start out with key policies. First of all, in general, the peer review process is indemnified as long as you're conducting peer review responsibly in sanctioned medical staff committees. What does that mean? That means that you can only be sued as a group of individuals, but you cannot be sued as an individual because you're indemnified by the hospital. Now, if you are indemnified, there are some general principles that would apply. You have to follow confidentiality, so you need a confidentiality policy. That is, everything that we talk about in this room, in this committee, cannot be discussed outside of this committee, or you could violate confidentiality and therefore lose your indemnification. So, very key. Another important policy is conflict of interest. You need to be able to declare that you have a conflict. As an example, if I'm an orthopedic surgeon and I'm conducting peer review for another orthopedic surgeon and we're competitors, it would be wise of me to declare that as a potential conflict of interest to determine if I should be reviewing that case or if we should send it out for review. Again, get your attorneys involved to advise you on what should go into those policies. Always good to have disruptive behavior and a sexual harassment policy so that people know proactively that you do not allow for disruptive behavior and you don't allow for sexual harassment in any form or fashion. Let's talk a little bit about structure. And sometimes people confuse M&Ms or morbidity and mortality educational rounds with formal peer review. Peer review generally in every state is protected. Morbidity and mortality and educational discussions generally are not protected. So if you're going to have morbidity and mortality rounds, you need to redact confidential information, names of patients, any identifiers, the name of the physician, and just talk about the case as an educational tool. Peer review, of course, all of that information can be discussed openly because it is not, in general, discoverable. The last thing I would say about structure is my preference is multidisciplinary peer review. That is typically one or two committees that contain multiple specialties that talk about a particular case, rather than only talking about a silo-specific specialty and whether it impacted the outcome based only on that specialty. So I have a general bias toward multidisciplinary peer review. Two last things. One is when you're looking for solutions, once you've found a quality problem, always try and find a collegial educational solution first before you go as a last result to a punitive solution. And the last thing I would say is get your attorney involved early in the process in case a particular peer review issue becomes a legal situation, then you've got your attorney along the entire process. We're building a community of resources here. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. Thank you.